views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hola everyone, welcome to Open BxRx Remote, brought to you from my living workspace, Tari Executive Suite. I'm Rhina Valentin, your host of Café con Leche every Friday. And here's what's coming up in today's show. Leading things off, we'll speak to holistic health coach and creator of Eat, Move, Calm, Jasmine Barcelo, to discuss wellness and empowerment for mothers caring for autistic children. Then we'll speak to Center for Community Engaged Learning, Fordham University Executive Director Julie Gafney, along with CEO of Bronx Community Foundation and former New York City School Chancellor, Dr. Meisha Porter, to discuss the upcoming Fordham in Community Consortium and Summit. After that, we'll be joined by iRaise Girls and Boys International Chief Executive Officer and Founder, Shanequa, to discuss holistic youth development through mental health initiatives. Later on in the show, Bobby C brings us an up-to-date with the latest headlines in the world of sports. And lastly, this week's Open Artist Spotlight shines on poet and prison activist, former TEDx team facilitator, Robert Galinsky. So sit back y prepárate. All this and more is headed your way, because now we are officially open. Hey everyone, welcome to Open. It is National Poetry Month. I'm Rhina Valentin, your host of Café con Leche every Friday, inviting you to get social with us. Online, that is, tweet us and follow us on Instagram at BronxNet TV and like us on Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. And of course, while you're there, don't forget, follow moi on Twitter, FB, Instagram, Insta Stories, and LinkedIn at Rhina Valentin. So as we close out Autism Awareness Month, our first guest is a Bronx native women's holistic health coach, a mother of three with over 22 years of experience in yoga practice, wellness, and Eastern Western spiritual modalities. Through her experience as a mother, especially one of an autistic child, her journey through stress, overwhelm, developed the Eat, Move, Calm program, which includes female empowerment, mindful eating, gentle movement, meditation, and breath work. She helps moms with autistic children find calm through self-love, self-care, and daily habits. Here to share more is women's holistic health coach and creator of Eat, Move, Calm, Jasmine Barcelo.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. So glad to be here in Open.
Well, we're really glad to have you closing out our Autism Awareness Month and segment, right? So my biggest inquiry is always in being on duty on that scale. I'm a mom myself, right? But being a mom of an autistic child, I would have to assume requires additional attention, right? And so in having to serve on that capacity and then looking for your own like your own sanctuary, like within your own space, and then passing it on to other women, it's like, don't you think that that's adding on to it? Just out of curiosity.
That's an absolutely wonderful question. It is so important to set boundaries. It is so important to set the boundaries that you feel comfortable in. So, well, maybe another businesswoman may be constantly showing up on social media 10 times a day, every single day. I am okay with saying I am taking Friday off and I'm going to spend time with my child, or I need to decompress. It would be a bad example if I just keep go when I'm telling moms to take a moment, set boundaries, prioritize yourself. I would be not sharing what's the correct thing to do or what's good for you to do personally.
Right. And I ask that only because I know as a mom and as a businesswoman that it's very, it's almost like I have to pencil myself in to go and hide and do an escape. So I
Yes.
just wonder, like with your Eat, Move, Calm, I'm going to assume is something that you implemented for yourself and now you're passing it forward. So why don't you walk us through how that evolved?
Absolutely. So the most important thing is for you to, like you said, take some moments of escape. And sometimes the only moments of escape is in the morning, right? Perhaps before the children wake up, or in the evening, right before you go to sleep. And it does not need to be complicated. We sometimes think we have to do these half hour or 60 minutes of exercise, and we need to be on a strict diet, and we need to meditate for half an hour and do all these things. And that can be stressful. You have to do that. That alone has to be stressful. But you can start with just a few minutes a day, with some simple morning routines, simple evening routines. And with the Eat, Move, Calm, basically it's about eating well. And we're not talking about any crazy diets. It's about, in general, eating well to nourish your brain and your mind, moving more and just a little bit more. You can do things, thankfully, if we take our children to school, we're taking a walk and we're getting sunshine. But you can learn very simple yoga practices or stretching, gentle stretches that you can do in the morning or right before bed. One important part of movement is that when you wake up in the morning, you want to signal to your brain that it's daytime and it is time to wake up. And that's difficult if you don't get outside. So you want to try to get outside at least before 11 o'clock. And that sunlight comes into your eyes. And the interesting thing is that even on a cloudy day, it's actually brighter on a cloudy day than in brightness inside your home. So you are telling your eyes it's daytime, and your brain produces serotonin. It's the feel-good hormone. It wakes you up, it gets you moving. And serotonin later on in the night actually converts to melatonin. So you need to get your kick of serotonin during the day so that you can have that extra melatonin produced at night, which helps with your sleep. And the calm point of the Eat, Move, Calm method is actually practicing very simple calming techniques that you can add in little bits of your day that will allow you to have more patience, will allow you to feel better in the midst of those very complicated situations, such as when your child is crying, or such as when they're having a sensory overload. One very quick example is that my son was up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and he wanted to grab toys and wanted to turn on the lights. And some children on the autism spectrum are very adamant about certain things. A couple of years ago, I may have been like, oh, I can't, I haven't slept. Why is this happening to me again? But through practicing what I have been practicing all my life, right? And reminding myself, I came back to that core. And through some of these things that I have been teaching, when I woke up, I took a deep breath and I was able to be calmer. And, some of us are a little bit of a hothead. I'm a little bit of a hothead, admittedly. And this is so amazing and so important. And our children deserve a mom that is calmer, but it's a two-way street. You're actually taking care of yourself. You're taking care of them. You're taking care of yourself. And we can actually do a really quick breathing exercise that takes 15 seconds if you have an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, we can. I mean, I'm a meditator myself, but what I love about what you're sharing is that it's simple. It's
Mhm.
not anything of like this. Oh my gosh, this
No.
committed regimen. It's more of an awareness. It's
Yes.
more of like, you know what? Just take a step back, and you know what? Instead of just waking up and going on with your routine, take a step out, right? And it's just these little things that really add up to they contribute to our wellness, right?
Yes.
And our wellness with self, so that you can deal with whatever the day brings on. And obviously you're catering to women who are mothers of autistic children.
Mhm.
However, it really applies to
It
everybody.
applies to everybody. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so we do have a few minutes, but I wondered if you wanted to talk about your brand new Chaos to Calm and Wellness 21-day mini program before we do that, because there's the accountability there now. That's a
Yes.
level.
Yes, this is actually really, really exciting. It is a way for you to get parts of these ideas to incorporate routines into your day, your morning routine, your evening routine, and in 21 days, implement these small steps. Every day, you'll get a quick email on what you can do for 5 or 10 minutes. Sometimes the activity is just for 1 or 2, and it involves something with a meal. It involves something with rest. It involves something with breath work. And every day you'll get a quick wellness recipe and a journal for you to fill out and kind of keep track of how is this making you feel? How do you feel today? And a week later, how do you feel? How are you feeling? And it starts with a stress assessment. Awareness sometimes is a first step, and sometimes you don't realize just how stressful you feel. You think it's the norm, and it should not be the norm. And it's okay to seek help. It's okay to seek relief.
Yeah. And like you said, it does begin with awareness. And quite frankly speaking, we're all becoming, by default, we're kind of being forced to become more mindful because of the circumstances that
Absolutely.
we're coming out of. Now, if you like, I'm open to your demo. We have 2 minutes left before the segment is over. So you said it would just take a few seconds.
Absolutely. You're aware so much about meditation. So this may be new for some moms, and some moms it may not be. But the very first thing that you can do if your child is yelling, and that happens often, you want to be so gentle with them. You want to be there for them. And sometimes you feel like crying. Sometimes you feel like, right? So you can do really quick. And you can close your eyes, but you don't have to. You can take a deep breath and count to 4. And you hold for 4 seconds if you can. And then release slowly. And you should notice immediately that your shoulders relax.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just do this a few more times, you can put yourself together to handle that immediate moment where it seems like everything's going to fall apart. You breathe, do that 3 or 4 times, and now you can show up a little bit better how you want for you and your child.
Yeah, that was beautiful. And thank you for demonstrating it on air, and allowing me to participate, because I feel like, oh, I snuck one in there. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Lately, it's been a common thing to do it more frequently just because of the circumstances. And it's as simple as just paying attention to your breath.
Yes.
So thank you so much. Thank you for catering to women and mothers, particularly. I'm a mom, so that means a lot to me, and especially to those who are in higher demand, servicing and catering to children with that are on the autism spectrum. Once again, that's a holistic health coach and creator of Eat, Move, Calm, Jasmine Barcelo. She does have a new challenge called Chaos to Calm and Wellness. It's a 21 days mini program. You can go to her website. Her website is eatmovecalm.podia.com. And you can also visit her on Instagram at Eat, Move, Calm by Jasmine. All right, we got to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll hear about a community consortium coming to Fordham University. Don't go anywhere. Hey everyone, welcome back. Our next guest joined us today to speak about the upcoming Fordham in Community Consortium, a summit that brings together community-based and grassroots organizations with initiatives to share resources and collaborate in an impactful way to uplift neighboring communities and contribute to their development. And joining us to share more is the Center for Community Engaged Learning at Fordham University Executive Director, Julie Gafney, and inaugural CEO of Bronx Community Foundation and former New York City Schools Chancellor, Dr. Meisha Porter. Hello and welcome, ladies.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for this amazing summit that I'm looking forward to participating in. And you would, if we could just start with you, Julie, just explain to us, excuse me, what it is that the goal is in having this all-day summit. It's a long summit, right? It starts at, I believe, at 10:30 in the morning and goes to about 5:30. That's a long period of time to bring people together. So can you give us a little insight as to what formed this?
Absolutely. So next Friday, May 6th, the Center for Community Engaged Learning at Fordham will convene local partners, community stakeholders, faculty, and students for this summit. It's really a day of information sharing, advocacy, and outreach to bring us together over at the Bronx Zoo, one of our partners. As we come out of these periods of isolation and uncertainty, we are so looking forward to seeing our partners and friends and to talking together about the most pressing issues and the promising solutions that are being crafted here in the Bronx in collaboration with one another. This event does fall within the celebration of Bronx Week 2022, so we're really eager to create meaningful change for the Fordham area and the whole borough of the Bronx.
Thank you. And so what I did mention is Dr. Meisha Porter is also going to be the keynote speaker. But before we talk about your keynote and your participation, let's just share a little bit about the Bronx Community Foundation and why you decided to shift from being the first female Black chancellor for New York City schools into now being this inaugural president and CEO of the Bronx Community Foundation.
So one, it's exciting to be back home in the borough of the Bronx. This is actually a great kickoff event because the Bronx Community Foundation is looking to also be a convener around issues that are important to Bronxites and to work together to develop solutions to problems with the people who are impacted by those most. And so I'm excited to be the keynote speaker at this event. I'm excited to return to the Bronx. I'm excited to do this at Fordham University, where I just completed my dissertation. And so, this is to me a moment when and I think people are just excited to come together. So it's a long day, but it's a long day of probably, Bronx style coming together, of just missing each other and reconnecting. And so I'm excited about that. But this moment of reconnecting and convening around addressing issues of importance to the Bronx is what's important to the foundation. It is, how do Bronxites rebuild our communities with us, by us, for us, at the forefront of what's important, deciding how to solve problems, deciding the path forward for the borough, working in collaboration with our borough president and our elected officials and our universities and Fordham as a partner. And I'm excited to see Fordham think about their role in the borough in such an important way. And that's why I'm excited to participate in the forum. And I think it's just just a natural fit as I start in this inaugural role, for sure.
Yes, I'm excited to hear you speak too. So I'm really excited that you're excited. And so, Julie, I read a quote from you in an article. I believe it was in a Fordham University article. It was a very fascinating statement that I would like you to elaborate on. And it is about how to construct a new society after the destruction of an urban society. And how now, in these moments of flux that we don't wish for, that this is when we can reevaluate what is possible, which is what's being created with this consortium. So can you elaborate on that further?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is, I often get the question, how did a medievalist get involved in community organizing, public policy? And it really is, and it's not particular to any one time period, but what fascinated me, what I did my coursework on, and now I actually teach a course on this, on post-pandemic narratives and the kinds of social, political, and economic structures that come out of moments like these, moments of devastation, of loss, of uncertainty. And I do find that there's something, I don't want to say comforting, but really important, that this is not the first moment in history that we have seen this kind of rebuilding, this necessary rebuilding, right? We have seen in the late 14th century a huge outpouring of opportunities for entrepreneurship, a change in the way language works and constructs meaning. And I think we are on the cusp of this same moment, and what better place to be doing this work than the Bronx? That is why at this summit, we'll be launching Fordham in Community, or Fordham en Comunidad, which is an asset-based consortium between the university and local partners, really to collaborate on community projects and initiatives. So our partners include the Fordham BID, the Bronx Zoo and Wildlife Conservancy, Youth Ministries for Peace and Justice, part of the solution, BronxNet, of course, the Botanical Gardens, VIP Community Services, over 25 other CBOs, nonprofits, and organizing and advocacy groups. And we're really working to highlight assets and resources and solutions, what we have to share, and where we can find those moments of collaboration and growth.
Yeah, I noticed, I was looking at some of the graphs and seeing like where the points of interest lie. And one of the things that also came up for me, for you, Dr. Porter, is that your main priority stepping into this role is to listen.
Yes.
It's to listen. And so you're our keynote speaker. So I'm very curious to see where that balance is.
Well, I hope in my message I deliver, I'm looking forward to delivering the message of what we want to listen for. You know, the amazing thing about the foundation that was started by brothers Derek and Desmond Lewis, who are from the Bronx. It's the first and only community foundation in the Bronx solely dedicated to delivering resources to the borough through a participatory grant-making process, period, right? And so the listening is going to be around what do our neighbors, what do our friends, what do our community members, what do our nonprofits, what do our small businesses, you know, what do our for-profits, what do we all want to see a foundation do for this borough? And what are the issues that the foundation can help solve and fund solving? And I think, you know, listening for that as a starting point, there are a lot of amazing nonprofits across the borough doing really great work. But this is a moment, to Julie's point, post-pandemic, of rethinking the way we work, working in a more deeply collaborative way, partnering around solutions to problems, but also recognizing the beauty of the borough, the resiliency of the people, the diversity of cultures and communities, and how all of those really important parts of who we are as a borough play into us defining our future forward.
And so thank you for that. Julie, I started mentioning the graphs and I was trying to find them to just elaborate a little further on the points of interest, because I know you did like surveys. And so are these topics going to be addressed throughout the consortium? Are these the topics of choice?
So the topics we'll be highlighting at the summit are environmental justice, education access, economic development, and migration justice. These are some of the top, they're not the only, but these are some of the top issues, and also areas where this consortium has, I think, a lot of potential for collaboration right now. We may add priorities as we grow and scale. And we may, you know, there's a lot that falls under those areas. And I think they all talk to each other, which I think is really exciting. You know, when we think about migration justice, we have to be thinking about environmental justice, because we're thinking about displacement and movement. So that's where we're beginning the conversation.
And so who's able to attend? Is anybody able to just show up, or is there a registration? Like, what does that look like?
Absolutely. This event is open to the public, and we are really hoping to get a great group of folks joining us, both from these partner organizations, from Fordham, but anybody who is listening and who'd like to join and come and take part in these conversations, we really would welcome you. There is an RSVP process you can find on our website. It's fordham.edu/CCEL for the Center for Community Engaged Learning. So if you go there, it's on our homepage. You can just click to register, and then you'll get the full day of events, your transportation information, everything you might need.
All right, and before we go, I just want to ask Dr. Porter if the way she's designing, is it geared towards a certain age group? Because I mean, you were the New York City school's chancellor,
Yes.
and I would assume that that kind of made its way into your design. Is there age range in which you're targeting?
Well, obviously, education is deeply important to me. And again, to Julie's point, right? Like the one doesn't operate without the other. There's not an age range. We want to support the entire borough. We want to support our birth through seniors and really build up the community and support, you know, just pushing forward and funding and developing initiatives that just build a better, more amazing Bronx than the one we have today.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. We are the rising phoenix till the
Yes.
full
Yeah.
effect. All right, and thank you so much for bringing it to our viewers, ladies. Once again, that's Julie Gafney, Executive Director of Fordham University at the Center for Community Engaged Learning, along with Dr. Meisha Porter, CEO of Bronx Community Foundation and former New York City Schools Chancellor. And if you're interested in participating, once again, you can visit fordhaminCommunity.org. This is happening on May 6th between 11:30 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. All right, we have to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll hear about the gathering of local elected officials and community leaders to discuss the youth mental health crisis in public schools. So don't go anywhere. Hey everyone, welcome back. Our next guest founded I Raise Girls and Boys International, a mentoring program with a mission to provide a holistic approach to improve socio-emotional well-being and educational outcomes for youth ages 4 through 21. I Raise is hosting an intimate gathering of local elected officials and community leaders to discuss the youth mental health crisis through new research findings, approaches, and ways in which to address the youth mental health issue in public schools that is at a rise since the pandemic. Please welcome I Raise Girls and Boys International founder and CEO, Shanequa Moore. Hello and welcome.
Hi, Rhina. Hi, it's good to be here.
It's good to have you on again. And it's always lovely to learn about your new choice of topic in focus, right? Because I know your mission is always to address anything that is on the rise with kids who are underserved and underrepresented. So I know what I didn't mention in the introduction is that I know that your partners with this particular event is the New York Mets. So let's talk about, this is the second year, right? You're doing it in collaboration with them, right?
Right. So we did not get to do it last year. We were so busy with just getting our programs and schools resumed in person. So that took up all of our time and we did have to push it to this year. So really excited about it.
Well, congratulations. And let's just talk about it while we're at it, right? Because the beauty of what you do and what I really appreciate is the holistic approach, right? And I know that's the topic of discussion that really needs to be brought into the forefront because it's an emotional issue that needs to be addressed. And I know you have like professional social workers, psychologists. And so let's talk about what the event is going to entail.
Absolutely. So, yep, you're absolutely correct. We have a team of social workers that work in conjunction with New York City Public Schools to provide direct services during a school day with our children. And so this event will be discussing all of the things that we've been witnessing on site in multiple schools across New York City. We'll also be talking about some of our research that we have conducted over the last 2 years during the pandemic, which discusses how youth mental health has been affected. And we'll be talking about some ways to really address that on a more citywide level with DOE. So we're really excited about it. We have a few local elected officials that will be joining us, a few foundations and other nonprofits. It's a small, intimate gathering. So we'll be able to talk about a really crucial topic, but in a more relaxed way with some leaders that we bring in different perspectives to the table.
So is it being conducted in like a forum style?
Yeah, so it's actually going to be in a nice private suite with the New York Mets. We'll have our own sort of area and suite to meet with our stakeholders while enjoying the game. But there will be a specific segment where we'll be discussing youth mental health, and that will start at 3 p.m. sharp and will end at 4:15. The other parts of it will just be an enjoyable time to sort of network and get to know other executives and other leaders throughout New York City and addressing this topic. So there'll be a formal piece and also an informal piece to the event.
So in the work that you have done regarding the research and where you're at now, I mean, I wouldn't even consider it post-pandemic, but I mean, I would love to use the term post, I would love for that to really,
Still in it.
I know. However, we are, reuniting and participating in in-person activities. And so I just wondered, like, what stands out the most in your research?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I think the thing that stands out the most is the rise in depression and anxiety in young people, which we detected and we predicted that this would be something that would happen, and why we wanted to be at the forefront of dealing with this before schools resumed. Last year, during the before schools actually reopened, during a time when Dr. Meisha Porter was the chancellor of DOE schools, we were a part of the advocacy efforts to really raise awareness on the fact that when schools resume, these are the things we should be anticipating. And we did predict it, and our research findings were consistent with our predictions that young people their depression and anxiety symptoms would rise. And it's exactly what we have been seeing every single day in schools. And we've also been seeing a lot of young people asking for therapy services now. And so kids are now vocal about wanting therapy, wanting help. We've also seen a rise in suicide ideation. So we've seen a lot of clients, a lot of kids that have come to our office and the schools that we work in, saying they didn't want to live any longer. They didn't feel like there was any more meaning or purpose to life. And we have seen connections to how the pandemic has affected kids and these ways. And so those, I think, are the things that stand out most, is the depression, the anxiety, and the suicide ideation, not just in the children, but unfortunately also in the parents. A lot of our parents, during times when we meet with them, they're exhibiting a lot of trauma from the pandemic. A lot of them lost loved ones, lost jobs, lost social lives, and really are still dealing with it while trying to also help their children. And so it's been a lot of trauma we've been seeing.
And so, and thank you for elaborating on that, because it's apparent. I think we're all seeing it in some form or another. And the idea is that it needs to be addressed before it really amplifies any further. It's already amplified, but when you have this event, first of all, is this event open to specific individuals? Like, who is invited to this event?
Right. So it's open to a specific local elected officials that fund our mental health program. So I can give you some of the names. Councilmember Riley from District 12 will be present. We have Councilmember Kristen Jordan from District 9, Councilmember Ferris, who is in District, I believe, took over District 18, will be a part of us. Hopefully Councilmember Mealy, will be a part of us as well. In addition to a few executives of organizations that we work with, that work in conjunction with our programs around this issue. In addition to some of the foundations that fund us. We're also opening up to the public. So there is an aspect, if there are parents or community members that want to support and purchase tickets and just be a part of the event that day, they are allowed to come. It is during the day, so it's May 4th at 1:10 p.m. And that day, believe the New York Mets will be playing the Georgia State. So that's going to be really, really interesting. And I don't remember the name of the team, but I know they're from Georgia. Is it the Braves?
No, I know, but it's just the excitement of being at the ballpark and
oh yeah,
in the midst of people at a live game. So
really
it's
exciting.
all good, right? And so, but before we go, because we got to wrap up soon, I want to know what the goal is after this meeting, this event, this gathering? Is it to implement programs inside of DOE?
Correct.
Like where do you see this? Because it really needs to be expansive.
Yeah, I love that. I love what you're saying, Rhina. You know, I'm on the same page as you, and that is 100% yes. We have a number of new programs we're launching this coming school year, 2022 to 2023 school year, and this is going to be an interlude to that. So we'll be gathering perspectives from other stakeholders on what they're seeing individually in our communities, and we'll be taking all of that in addition to our research findings and the things that we've been seeing, and we'll be implementing that for the next school year. So just really quickly, one of those things are going to be trauma assessments. So we are, one of our goals is to conduct 2,000 trauma assessments for 2,000 children in the 2022 school year so that we can screen early on for trauma before working with them. So that's one of the ways that we'll be implementing some best practices moving forward. We're also going to be launching a principals in partnership program where we'll be working with principals on how to deal with mental health in their school from a more customized school approach. This is a huge issue. A lot of schools and principals are trying to figure out what do we do? Where do we start? How do we bring social emotional services and support without having the resources? We'll be guiding principals through a series of webinars throughout the summer, and also going into the next school year on really what does it look like to develop an approach for their schools. So we're really excited about this conversation. We're hoping that great perspective and information come from this, and that this is the beginning of many more initiatives in terms of dealing with this mental health crisis. It really takes a village. We can't do it ourselves. We have to pull together and do it together as a community.
Wonderful. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, if you really wanted to put this in a positive light, the silver lining is that now it's time for all of us to focus on holistic approaches to existing, period.
That's right.
Yep. Thank you, Shanequa. All right. So that was Shanequa Moore, founder and CEO of iRaise Girls and Boys International. And if you're interested in more information and tickets, you can visit iraiseinc.org. Stay tuned because Bobby C's weekly sports roundup is coming up next.
The Pinstripers looked much more like the Yankees that we've come to know last weekend, sweeping the Cleveland Guardians at the Big Ballpark in the Bronx. That's the first time that the former team known as the Indians came to the BX. They can come all they want, whenever they want, whatever their names might be, especially if the Yankees are going to play the way that they played last weekend against the Guardians. Ace Garrett Cole notched his first win of 2022, and aside from some fans throwing trash at Cleveland players following a walk-off win on the weekend, all appears right for the Yankees for the time being. Stay classy, Bronx. Yanks in at 5, NYCFC at 4. The New York City Football Club, the only reigning champions of the Big Apple, beat Toronto 5-4. They are giving the Yankees a run for their money of late right here in the Bronx.
We have been working with a more attacking approach in the midfield. Instead of having two guys sitting side by side, we have more freedom to go forward. So I think that just brings, obviously, another body into the attack, but it gives us more freedom to try new things and get into the box more, so we have more options when we're crossing the ball. And we've put a big emphasis on crosses a lot too, so we focus on that. If we get more than like 10 crosses a game, and then I'm available to get into the box, or Santi's available to get into the box more often, then we have more chances and with more opportunities to score goals. So I think it's shown very clearly these last two games.
At number 3, the Mets seem to only lose a game a series these days. The Amazons take 2 of 3 over the weekend in Arizona. On the ice last weekend, a rare loss for the playoff-bound New York Rangers. They fall 3-1 to the Boston Bruins. Here's the latest.
I mean, it happens. Like I said, we wanted to battle back, and after the second period, we talked about having a real good third period and getting ourselves a chance to win the hockey game. And we scored within the first 8 minutes, and it was real good. And then we hit that power play. Didn't generate much in the second one, which was a little disappointing. But and then they get that third goal. So happens. I thought we played okay for the most part, and played a good team today. Boston had a full lineup. They got their guys back, and they were excited, and they played well.
The city of Boston has had New York's number of late, unfortunately. That's the storyline in the BK Nets Celtics series. We go back inside the locker room for more.
Yeah, it's disappointing. Obviously, we didn't play a good game. Like I said, 18 turnovers, gave up 13 offensive rebounds, gave up 25 fast break points. Now a lot of those are on turnovers. But those are points of emphasis for us. And we've lost on all 3 of those. You give the Celtics credit; they have a great defense. I think it's made us second guess certain plays. We're not as decisive with the ball, and so we're not playing our best basketball. We're not being forceful with our actions, having that belief. We're second guessing a little bit, and so we're throwing a lot of passes that are second thoughts. And they're too good a team to do that.
The Nets grabbed the 1 spot here on the back end, and since it has arguably been the most shocking news, we'll let the headline share it with the news out of Rose Hill that men's basketball head coach Kyle Neptune is heading back to Villanova after 1 year at Fordham. Jay Wright is retiring. Neptune, his former right-hand man, heads back to Nova to replace him. Gutted here in the Bronx. This is the second time Wright has played spoiler. He once was tabbed to be the next leading man for the Rams and opted out in the midnight hour. Best of luck to Neptune. I still think Fordham will be fine. To the back end we go for the top spot. Mayor Eric Adams and police officials joined together in the Bronx recently to welcome the return of the NYPD's Saturday Night Lights program. Very cool. Last year, the NYPD partnered with the Department of Youth and Community Development, that's DYCD, the city's district attorneys and community-based organizations in order to renovate and open 100 new gyms across the city. Great story here in the Bronx. In doing so, this provides free summer youth sports programming on Saturday nights. Saturday Night Lights. Mayor Adams, Bronx Borough President Vanessa Gibson, a big friend of BronxNet, and other officials gathered at PSIS 224 in Mont Haven to kick off the start of the season recently. Saturday Night Lights, indeed. In the 4th spot, we've got the lights of the National Football League. The NFL draft started last night and wraps up tomorrow. The Giants and Jets looking to fill some major holes on the draft's final couple of days. And at 3, the Yankees are in KC in Kansas City for a road weekend series. That reminds me, our Bronx Athlete of the Week goes to Nestor Cortez. He's been electric. He's really been the Yankees' real ace so far this season. Through his first 3 starts this year, Cortez has posted a 1.15 ERA with 25 strikeouts. As Yankee manager Aaron Boone put it, the legend of Nestor grows. The lefty continued his special start to the 2022 season last Saturday afternoon, continuing to prove that last year's breakout performance was far from a fluke. 1 start removed from setting a new career high with 12 strikeouts in Baltimore, Cortez took a no-hitter into the 5th inning against the Guardians. Nasty Nestor, keep it up, my guy. You've been great. Meantime, the Mets welcome rival Philly to Queens this weekend. 3 games with the Phillies starting tonight in Flushing. And last but certainly not least, in at number 1 on this date in Bronx sports history, April 29th, 1985. The boss, George Steinbrenner, had said 2 months prior that Yankee great Yogi Berra would be the Yankees manager for the entire 1985 season, no matter what. Then, of course, like he usually did, he changed his mind on this day in 1985 and dismissed Berra. Just 16 games into the season, the late boss brought back Billy Martin for his 4th term as Yankee skipper. Martin, who was removed as the Yankee manager at the end of the 1983 season and named a special scout, joined the team in Arlington, Texas after the weekend. The appointment of Martin marked the then 12th managerial change since Steinbrenner led a group that purchased the Yankees from CBS in 1973, forever linked with Billy Ball. The move irked Berra so much it would be 14 years until he would come back to Yankee Stadium. to the C-list for the return of a New York sports legend who is making plays right here in the Bronx. Earl Monroe, the former Baltimore Bullet, NBA champion, basketball Hall of Famer, and Knicks great, has joined the ranks of former sportsmen who have entered the educational field. The Pearl has opened a basketball school here in the Bronx called the Earl Monroe New Renaissance Basketball School. Got a great name. It focuses on sports business. The school's goal is to teach kids about basketball business and prepare them for employment in the industry. Basketball will be offered as a sport at the charter school, but it will take a backseat to the founder's main goal of ensuring that students are well prepared for the wide world of sports, from marketing to public relations to ticket sales and beyond. The school is located on Parkview Avenue here in the Bronx. The New York Times reports that 110 ninth graders entered the school recently, where the head count will remain for the rest of this academic year. Over the course of the next 3 years, 110 more ninth graders will be added annually, capping enrollment at about 440 students. The 76-year-old Monroe is remembered as one of the best players in Washington franchise history, his number 10 hanging in the rafters of Capital One Arena. Though he never actually suited up in the nation's capital, Monroe spent 4 seasons as a Baltimore Bullet, winning Rookie of the Year in 1968 and getting 2 All-Star nods in 1969 and 1971. After 328 games with the Bullets, Monroe was traded to the New York Knickerbockers, where his career would take off even further. As a Knick, he would win the 1973 NBA championship title, earn 2 more All-Star appearances, and of course have his number 15 retired by the organization, hanging up in the rafters at the world's most famous arena. After all these years, he's still a winner, making plays here in New York. Only these plays seem to have such a greater impact. Cheers to Earl Monroe and learning. That's your look at sports. Stay with us. More Open back after this.
Welcome back. Our last guest is a coach, director, producer, writer, and prison activist. He was the head coach speaker for 10 years with TEDx Teen and works with teenagers in Rikers Island and prisons throughout New York State through literacy for incarcerated teens and The Kite. He runs a live poetry night, Poetry in New York, and has his first self-published book of poetry and plays titled Scribbling on Spaghetti. Here to share more, we welcome Galinsky. Hey.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Welcome, welcome. And hopefully the next time we have you on, it will be in studio as we gradually reopen. And thank you for making the time to be with us. I am in awe over all of the services that you offer. I would like to start with just your role in facilitating the next generation, first and foremost.
Well, Rhina, I feel like I'm on the front line on the war that's been ongoing for decades on white supremacy. Basically, that's where I see myself. And so in order to do that, I don't have to travel too far. I can go right up the road to Rikers Island. I go to the Bronx. I can go to any facility in New York. And the weapons that I'm bringing in are called compassion and empathy. I pretty much go in to the facilities with a bag full of books, papers, pads, pens, scripts, and wherever we fall into it, that's where we fall. If we're reading a book together, if we're writing a poem, working on some rhymes, whatever, that's what I do. And that to me validates whatever experience those young men and women have.
So let's just share with me, I guess, some of your success stories, right? Because this has to be that what you're doing is like a commitment to humanity, right? Because what you're doing is to elevate this generation that has ended up, in circumstances that may not necessarily feed their progression. And so you're up against, the system for that matter. And obviously this is a choice you've made in life. What drew you to do that? And please do share a success story.
As the great Meyer Lansky of the Mafia said, this is the life I have chosen, and this is the life I've chosen. For whatever reason, my DNA calls me to do this. I think there's a legacy of it in my family. My father was a teacher, was a pharmacist, a justice of the peace, a notary of the public, chairman of the Board of Education, town councilman. He served. And that definitely has rubbed off on me. I would say one of the incredible success stories is a young lady that I worked with for about a year during the pandemic on Zoom. I had to talk a number of the facilities into trying Zoom, and remote stuff. They all didn't want to do it. They were all nervous about it. Finally, the few relented. So I was working with this young lady for a year, and then we submitted her for a TED Talk, and she got the TEDx talk, and she just did it 4 weeks ago. It'll be online soon. And she shared how poetry and writing has helped her decrease the violence and the impulses to be violent in her life. So a kid who was incarcerated at 16, worked with for a year. I said, when you get out, look me up. She did. And she's come down to that poetry night every month from the Bronx to kick her one piece, got the TED Talk. To me, that is just, I go to bed feeling really great about that.
Oh, you should. Absolutely. I'm sure you feel really good about yourself looking in the mirror. Now, let's talk about this poetry night that you have downtown in the Village.
Sure. There's a brilliant place called the Book Club Bar. It's on 197 East 3rd Street. It's a giant bookstore with a little wine and coffee bar run by two incredible people, a husband and wife, Nat and Aaron. And on the third Thursday of every month, I curate 3 poets. I'm always one of them, and there's 2 others. Mel Shante, who I think you guys are familiar with, she's going to be on next month, as well as Alvin Ang from Queens. So it's a nice tight 1 hour, 3 poets doing 15, 20 minutes each max. It's packed. It's always really crowded. And I think it's crowded because one, it's good poetry. It's good performance. It's good art. But also I think people have been tired for the past 2 years of being locked in and having very limited choices of entertainment on their square in their houses, and listening to ill-informed, misguided newscasters doing nothing but spewing negativity and coercive and fascist politicians. And people are tired of that. And now that they get to go out of their house, boom, poetry, original thoughts, groundbreaking thoughts, sometimes beautiful, sometimes harrowing, but they're not these manipulative voices that we've been fed for the past 2 years, many more than 2 years, but because we've been locked down, it's been much tougher, I think.
Yeah, I agree. That's why you're here with us, because we try to, combat that.
Exactly.
Is bringing out the humanity in the stories. And thank you for mentioning Mel Shante, because her style is really therapeutic. So I dig what you're curating over there.
Cool.
But before we go, we got to talk about your book, because we're running out of time. And
okay.
Self-published, Scribbling on Spaghetti.
Yes. Scribbling on Spaghetti is this book. It's 17 poems and it's 6 short plays. Everything in the book has been vetted by my students on Rikers Island. So there ain't no BS in there, because they'll let me know when it's corny. It's just a collection of poems that I've been kicking downtown for a long time. And these short plays, some of them which were produced through a series called Actor Trade Celebrity Scene Spotlight. And my mom passed away in December, and it was kind of sudden, and it just kicked me into another gear. And I was like, why is this on my hard drive and not in a book? And so I went to Amazon and self-published, and it's been great.
That's awesome. And thank you for bringing it here to our viewers. I know you're going to give us a little taste of something a little later. So, you guys, that was Galinsky, but don't go anywhere, because when we return, he's going to perform for us. Hey everyone, welcome back. Closing out National Poetry Month. Here now to perform East Village Hip is Galinsky.
East Village Hip. I got the ear ring, nose ring, eye ring, lip ring, rib ring, brow ring, hip ring, belly button ring, ding-a-ling-a-ling. I do the clip-on bling, and when a breeze blows through Tompkins Square, you can hear the wind sing, see my breath cling to the skin and chains hanging off my bones and dope body. I'm East Village Hip. I took 3 weeks of karate. I'll make your mother say, ooh, he's got $1,000 pair of Gucci jeans on and with a rip, because I'm East Village Hip. I speed read through alphabet blues like yesterday's news tattooed across my chest. Think my skin like paper thin blotter for ink. My armpits stink. I wash my eyeballs in city sewage sinks. I grow the red hair, blue hair, green hair, no hair, pitchy patch and prism hair. I wear the mohawk so no bro talk comes near. I used to think, and I continue to think, I go from barber to instill fear because I'm East Village hip. Don't give me no lip. I got my ATM card, makes me real hard. My mind is battle scarred, boxcar, snoozing outside at night, sleeping bag ain't debugged. Another reason I like to get drugged until I wake up on my back, wake up in the grass. It's really freaking whack. It's truly awfully crass. But don't worry, I won't take it too far. I got no fright. I got keys to a car, and if it looks like a fight, if there comes a January freeze, winter, please. My East Village mantra is retreat, reprieve, retreat. Back to Long Island, New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, or wherever I'm from, because I'm not dumb. I'm just East Village hip. I often quip quotes from rock bands and quacks, radical thinkers with arms on their tracks. See, I'm a Cliff Note stinker from way, way back. I know how to tinker, and I once tried crack. Well, honestly, I dumped it in the gutter when my fellow hipster turned his back. So don't give me no flack. I told you I'm ATM hard. I got the Venmo code. I'm in QR mode. Sets of sales from the crypto Bitcoin Sonic load. $20, $40, $60 at a pop. I got multiple piercings that open up doors to any plug score cop. Ecstasy, body bags, smack, dope, scope, skag, blue dream, China white, red rage, K2. And I'm not trying to brag, but from hand-rolled joints, I still do drag, because I'm East Village hip. I'm all these people: Bob Dylan, Patti Smith, Lou Reed, Jim Carroll, Tuli Kupferberg, The Misfits, Jimi Hendrix, Electric Lady, The Ramones, Toshi Reagan, Blondie, CBGB's, Basquiat. I'm a Mary Baraka before he was Leroy Jones, all twisted up into a sack of pre-rolled hybrid bones. So take your pick, have a look, have a lick, pull a blunt, smoke a bird. And everything you hate about that C word. And if you haven't already heard, this shtick is a stunt. I just want to get home before I get my butt whipped because I need a fix and a wind. I swing and I miss the shit of chagrin. And so I'm going to flip onto the tourist tip, spend some cash, get some snacks, weigh some stacks, and summons an Uber to my place to get back to where I once belonged. So please don't tell anyone my crib is a penthouse with a crystal staircase, a spiral balcony, and yeah, it's got a brick fireplace. And yeah, I'll be all alone away from the Lois Saida cacophony, coiled up by the flames with a Ziploc bag of some delicious crystal meth. Because I'm a mess. I'm a myth. I'm a bindle of moans and a bundle of blame. And I tap 2 glass pipes like ruby red slippers of Dorothy's fame, whispering to myself, far from the LES, breathless in distress, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. When you're East Village hip.
Woo, you are fire. That was Galinsky. And of course, we're going to close out with mentioning he is East Village hip. Oh my goodness. Oh, you guys, if you're interested in more of his work, his book of poetry and plays, Scribbling on Spaghetti, is available on Amazon. And for more information on Galinsky, you can go to his coaching website, which is galinskycoaching.com, and on IG at Galinsky Place. All right, mi gente, that is our show today. Thanks to all our guests for coming through, and to you, our viewers, for tuning in. If you missed any part of the show, you can check out the recablecast tonight and 24 hours a day at BronxNet.tv. I'm Rhina Valentin, and from all of us here at Open, may the universe provide paz, prosperity, y amor.